All right, welcome back to the shop. Back working on the Dart. Have some progress made here. Spin around. Got the frame rail, well, the torsion bar cross member epoxied on the inside. Got some of the harder to get to parts that will still be exposed, but I got a little epoxy up there. I've got to sand it back a little bit and get some weldable primer on the top layers where the pan's going to sit. Got a little bit down on the frame rails as far as I can reach. I think when I'm all done here, I'll end up spraying the inside of these frame rails where I can't get to them, where they're all boxed in and we're not going to open up. Otherwise, we're getting real close to the pan. And one thing I had left was that little gash over in that inner rocker. So I took this morning, if there was a gash, so I wanted to cut a circle. So bored a little hole in a piece of oak trim and made a captured template so I could get the hole saw in there and punch that hole out. So we're ready to go there. I'll cut another hole out of an extra piece of sheet metal and have a piece to go in there. Should be quick. However, before that, we're going to go on a field trip. I have a piece of development ground that we're working on, and in the timber, there's some old vehicles. Field trip day, some development project, and we found a very old 8 3/4. So it's torsion bar front end, but full frame. So probably, I don't know, 59, somewhere around there. One of the first 8 3/4, but I need a roller for the Dart, so that's going to work for now. Going to cut that out of there and throw in the pickup. Nothing else, an old Tornado and an old LTD, old step van and Dodge van. Unfortunately, everything's junk, but we're going to cut that out of there real quick. All right, quick work with the Sawzall and hit the U-bolts and a little prying. Luckily the frame is in 2 pieces, so easy to get out with space. Helping my 16-year-old in the truck. Got our front end there and should make a roller. All right, getting back at it. Finished with our field trip on going and getting a very old 8 3/4 axle. So that's in the back of the truck still, but we'll get it out and clean it up. It's 61, I think, 60 something wheel mounting surface width. So it's obviously that's probably closer to a C body because it's an old full frame vehicle. But nonetheless, just for the sake of throwing some little bitty tires or even rims on this, just so I can start moving this around. It's been stuck on the rack with no frame for really a couple of years. So that'll be good. Before I do any of that though, I need to get the V-braces welded up here. So we'll get the V-braces welded up and then move on to the front floor pan. So this, I've got a little tension pushing up on the pan. Nothing really wants to move. I've got the frame still braced between the rails from when I removed it from the donor. But anyway, I want to put just ever so slightly a little bit of tension on this so it nothing wants to move once I start setting the tubs. Okay, here we go. Well, that's not going anywhere. A little tough to not burn everywhere, as these were taken off, the V-braces were taken off another donor car. The package tray was taken off the main donor car with the frame rails came from. So obviously everything was drilled out differently, so there's a lot of overlapping holes. You know, obviously when I took them off, I didn't drill through these all the way. Nonetheless, took a little work, but we'll have to do a little grinding work there as per typical, but had to make sure I got all the holes filled up, and ran along the front of this brace here just like the factory did. I had a little bit of witness mark where we cut it off before, so a couple spots over the top and then around the bottom and a couple plugs on each side. So that is permanent now. In there real good. That'll help keep everything squared up as I start cutting everything apart as far as the quarters go. So now we can focus on getting this floor pan in here. That'll be next. All right, time to get the floor pan in the car. I'm probably gonna have to take out most of the bracing, but I'm gonna go a piece at a time and see if I can get away with only taking out this top bar and one crossbar. Everything is still supported, so there's really nowhere it can go, but I'd like to leave as much tied together as possible. So we'll get right to that. Just realized I have to take the accelerator pedal off. When this gets down there, it's going to be in the way. So let's see if I can't do that real quick. There. I just unbolted it and left it on the no engine in this car for years, but the throttle cable's still hooked up. So I will leave it there, just swung it up out of the way. So we'll go get the floor pan and see if it'll set in here. I need to mark it from the bottom where all the drill holes are. So hopefully, I think I'll be taking this out before I'm done, but I'm not gonna start that way. See if it'll slide in here. there's that one. Do without breaking any windows. All right, well, it's in there. That was a little sloppy, but we got there. Some of the work now will be just fine tuning. There's a gap right here, if you can see there, right along where it meets the firewall. And some of that is just needing to push it around a little bit, but some of it is also that the flange is tilted one way or the other on the firewall just from taking it off and whatever over the years of a couple dings here and there. But nonetheless, it's fitting in there real nice. I'm feeling up under right here. That's where the seat bracket is sitting, right in this relief. And the other one on both sides I've left off just for this purpose. I wanted to get this in here before I got too ahead of myself, and I knew where the other one was mounted, or where it was mounted prior to taking it apart, but I thought, why not? I have access under here, so why not get the pan in here, and then we'll put those seat brackets up there, push up on them a little bit, get them mounted real good. But in general, we're doing pretty good. So all that's permanently mounted, needs to a little more grinding, a little more fine tuning, but structurally all good there. Have this sitting here. I'm going to raise it up and get underneath and mark all the spots once I get this good and get it all clamped together up front, maybe massage a few things to get it fitting perfectly tight up there. Obviously that'll all be seam sealed as well when it's done, but I want to get it in here. We'll get it screwed in so I can put it back in the same spot once it's ready to weld in. But that'll be good for the moment. We'll get back at it. All right, another weekend in the shop, and I'm working on the floor pan, just getting everything marked up. So up over here, you can see I've got the both seat pan brackets measured out, set, so I know where those are going to be. And of course the torsion bar cross member. I'm using a white grease pen, so a little messy, but that works well. So I've got the frame rails marked out on all sides. Then this other outrigger cross member at the cowl. Everything's fit up pretty well. The cowl's a little chopped up there where I had to straighten it out, but all in all, it'll weld up fine. So I'm gonna get this pan out of here, get everything drilled up and screwed back in, and a little massaging, and we'll get to welding. Real close. All right, new morning in the shop, and we're getting ready to weld in the floors. Got everything screwed down and massaged. I actually had the front floor pan, when it sits in there, is a little bit lower than the seat pan. And then this footwell pan in between these two, so from here to here is two separate halves that splice everything together. Basically, it's got to go under the front floor pan and then over the seat pan. And so basically, if these two pans are at different heights, it makes it very, very difficult to get through there. So luckily, this is sitting on a 4-post lift with a bridge jack underneath it, or scissor jack. And I could push up on the floor pan a little bit, but if you're putting one of these pans in, sometimes they sit a little funny. And that is to say, it's when I had it screwed down to the torsion bar cross member, which sets the ultimate level. Then of course the rockers all along there where it sits on the top of the inner rocker. So just the way it set in there, just a little bit of adjustment. Everything fits pretty well, but had to get all that screwed down, and then it ends up holding the floor pan up just fine. And then just like anything, a little massaging where all these joints fit together. There's a little all through that curvature. Just a little bit of finesse with that guy to make them fit pretty tight. Then I'll go along and push on each spot when I go to plug weld it here. But we'll get going on that and finally be done with the pans. All right, well, we got a bunch of that knocked out and it's starting to pop and bang, so I'm going to give it a while to cool down before I hit the rest. Got a little more to do on the frame over there, a little more over here, and I'm waiting on the front welds up in the corners and right along the brace here, right at the cowl brace. There's a line, and of course connecting the seam to the cowl. I'm doing all that at the end when I can bang on a little bit more. There's a little bit of finesse, and this cowl had been beat up a little bit at that edge, ever so slightly. It's not a big deal, but it'll get hidden with seam sealer when it's all done. But at any rate, I'm leaving just that front edge a little bit so I can get in there after all the rest of this is secure and massage it a little bit of dolly work maybe. But again, those little bumps and bruises right along the edge there will get covered up, so not a big deal. I'll come back to it and finish it up here shortly. Get rid of some of my big bumps with the flap wheel and make it look a little better. But looking good. Way more structurally sound than it's been in a lot of years. All right, now I've got all the welding done. Started grinding down the welds, but I'm gonna take a break and let the compressor catch up. But all the torsion bar cross member, front frame rails, all the seat brackets there, and then rear pans, of course, where it all ties together. The footwell pan, I guess, to the seat pan and to the front pan here. I went ahead and the factory pans had a spot welds, or a bead along there anyway at the seam, and I figured I'd do that and overdo it a little bit there just to add support, little extra structure. And then the only thing that I had any real trouble on was right here, where in that curve where everything meets. They were a little bit off. Had to do a little massaging. Everything looks fine, and of course we'll grind it down and make it all smooth, but otherwise everything fit together pretty darn well in the end. Looking pretty good. In the past week while I've been working on that, I did take the fenders off so I could see underneath a little bit more. I do have full rockers, or outer rockers that is. These are actually decent here and there, but the bottoms are rusty part way back. The fronts are good. That cowl apron is all in good shape. These, I don't even know what they're, fender skirt weather guards. They've had some patching in the past, so I don't know. AMD has those, so I think I'll replace those as well. The inner fenders are in pretty good shape. There's a little bit of the original body color down there, that RR1 burgundy. Everything else is salvageable. The engine compartment has been taken down to bare metal in spots and kind of left as is, but in general the inner fenders are good, in pretty good shape. There's a little patch in there under the battery tray, pretty typical. And then up on the firewall, they had patches welded on all of the holes where the wiper motor is, the heater core where the hoses go in, those two holes, and then the fan motor, of course. Those were all covered up, so I took all that off a while back, but we'll get in here one of the next steps and get this back down to decent metal. They had, I don't know if they were trying to make some sort of structural improvement, but the inner fender's not rotten underneath this spot welded on piece of sheet metal. They did that on both sides, which is odd, but in any rate, we'll fix that up. This inner fender down there, I guess, right near the shock tower is a little bit dinged up and a little patch of rust there. So I'll decide whether I'm gonna replace that or not, but it's definitely usable. Otherwise, just dirty and got old undercoating on it and whatnot, get it all cleaned up and presentable. But the next steps will be now getting onto the quarters. Now that I have the floor all tied together and all the, I don't think I showed that on the last video, but I've got this full wheelhouse test fit up in here. And if I could show it, where I mended together the C-pillar support that goes up to the roof, and of course the package tray and everything is new, or new to me, new to the car, off of another donor car, and the V-braces and everything. But everything is now fit up in there real well, and kind of proving out that it's all fitting real well. So we'll get that all screwed in real well before cutting this quarter off. Make sure everything's braced up. I'll probably take out some of this front bracing that was in there, and then get the other one tested fit up in there again as well, and get ready to cut both of these off. I'll pull the car up and look underneath it. All right, got the car raised up here. Obviously I already had the seat pan and the trunk pan in previously, but now that everything is tied together with the front pans, this is the first look underneath. All in all, looking pretty good. There's these weren't even this tight when I took the factory ones apart here, so all that's fitting up and they're pretty good. Of course, we'll seam seal the world here when we're all done. But got the seat brackets. So this is where the rocker was replaced in this area, the inner rocker that is, and got that seat bracket back in there real well, fitting good, and everything's fitting over the torsion bar cross member well. And the only thing I haven't finished yet is the seam with the firewall. So we'll get that done one of the next days when we have a little more time. But all in all, looking pretty good. Pleased with the fit, and now we have 100% rust-free frame rails and floor pans. A lot of work, but it's coming together. All right, guys, that's enough for this one. Hopefully come back next time and see some quarters starting to get cut off, and working on these outer rockers. This one's already out of the way, so I can see all the outer rocker. Got all that skin off there. Get the other one in the same shape so we have access to it, and make some more progress. See you next time. Thanks for watching.